we're now building this ecosystem of researchers and this knowledge validation engine on the blockchain. Could you walk us through what that looks like?
All right, so the blockchain application essentially is a chain of smart contracts that are there to kind of help and shape the ecosystem. So those smart contracts will be responsible for, of course, the initial distribution and holding the register of who owns tokens in the ecosystem. So that's like one of the basic smart contracts. But there are also other smart contracts that are in place for monitoring and preserving the health of the ecosystem. I mean, for example, one of these group of smart contracts could be called like financial institution, which takes care of monitoring the health of the financials in the community and making sure that the community incentives are stable and that there are no major problems in terms of supply and demand in the community, and gives incentives for pushing volume of transactions or for non-holding tokens forever and things like that. And there is another set of contracts that are related to the actual governance of the community, where people can vote for certain things, and those smart contracts also compute the different votes that each and every user has, and so forth. And also this group of contracts is responsible for the possibility of the community to change certain stuff in the blockchain application, but also in the knowledge validation engine and the whole code base and the way the community works in general.
All right, so walk me through the financial aspects of this.
So, I mean, we thought about that quite extensively, because we have seen some issues in the current ICOs when it comes to financially healthy communities. And we put up smart contracts in order to make sure that the people that are in the community have the common goal of actually building this knowledge validation engine, being part of the ideating around it, and also being sharing the upsides of building this thing. But still, like, the main goal is like to build this engine, own it, and like solve the world's biggest problem with it. So we have identified certain threats to the economy of the system, and one of the things is that if there are, let's say, people that just buy tokens and hold them for themselves without contributing, we think that that's not very valuable to the community, and that will mean that it will prevent other people from being able to actually participate and buy tokens. So that's why we have thought about a possible system to incentivize people to not hold tokens for too long without taking any part into the contribution sector, like doing AI training, figuring out bugs, or committing code, or finding clients, or stuff like that. And so in these situations, well, what we do is we apply what we call taxation for holders. And so basically everyone that has hold their tokens without any transactions and without any contribution for a certain period of time will be taxed a small portion of their tokens. And we also thought about what is a fair way to do taxation, and we formed our taxation levels based on the contribution of each person to the community, to the stake of tokens that users have, to the are they known, publicly known, or are they KYC verified. And yeah, I think more or less those are the criteria that form your tax level. If the economy is safe and everything is fine, the financial institution would not impose any taxes. But if at some point in time the financial situation changes, and then the financial institution will start imposing taxes. And these taxes will include, yes, what we talk about, the hodlers, but also um, in the cases where the reserves of the community starts getting depleted, the financial institution might want to fill them in, and in these cases it will need to tax also every seller for selling transactions. Another options that the institution has are to basically uh, prevent the the inflation of the community value compared to the outside world. And in these cases, it might need to react again by putting more tokens in place or reducing the amount of tokens depending on the particular issue. And finally, we also hope that a more natural and easy way to do all those things is through actually allowing the financial institution to do some certain market operations, but those things will be defined slightly after the ICO itself. But we envision those to happen as well as a more easier and more natural operation of the financial institution. But in summary, the financial institution has the goal to monitor the health of the community and to align everyone with the incentive to actually build the knowledge validation engine. And by building this engine, the value within the community will increase and will give benefits to everyone that supported that throughout the 4 years of that. And maybe after that, there'll be a lot of other projects that will come from the community members that will continue to be developing within the research community.
And how about the governance aspects of this?
Well, yeah, that's another very interesting area. So the governance model currently is through more or less majority voting. The idea is that throughout the first year or the first phase of the project, that Iris.ai will actually have a full governance, so that we actually can establish practices, can do some tests on different ways to count the votes and put in place the smart contracts that will actually execute on the decisions of the community. So meaning that basically when people vote and they approve certain decision, then the smart contract will actually take that decision and put it immediately into practice without human intervention. Those decisions sometimes might need human intervention, but in a lot of cases will be related to the way, let's say, the financial institution works, so they can immediately change certain parameters, the way certain pull requests or commits are considered valuable and things like that. When it comes to the voting system itself, we have considered again a couple of factors. So the stake of the user is important. The amount of or the contribution value of the user is important as well. The users that have come with their identity will be treated, I would say, better than those that are anonymous. And we'll take into account those factors to create a multiplier that will eventually be applied to your stake and will give the amount of votes that each and every user in the community has. And then we'll test a couple of different scenarios for governmental decisions during this 1 year. Some of them are more direct democracy, where all the community, all people in the community will vote for more or less every single decision, to a more representative types where certain nodes will be selected as super nodes for some time, and then they will take more immediate decisions, and then after some time the whole community will vote for a new representative or something like that. So these are kind of the ideas around the governmental model, but again, we hope that we'll get a lot of people join this community through our ICO sale, and then together with them we'll form concrete protocol for governance of the community.
It might be worth mentioning as well that there's a 1% ownership cap.
Yeah, that's super important because that gives diversity of opinion, meaning that with 1% cap, there'll be at least 100 opinions to be considered while while all decisions are taken. And again, as we said, we'll take into account, and there'll be a higher multiplier of votes for people that are known and they stay with their identity, meaning that anonymous users will have still votes, but also this is a mechanism of preventing people from creating multiple accounts and trying to abuse the system in terms of getting too much power and trying to steer the community in a direction that the community doesn't really want to go into.
And Iris.ai will hold about 50% of the tokens from the beginning, but then we're going to burn that down to 1%.
Yes. And one other thing is we are thinking through the governmental model through this 1 year when we test certain stuff. I think one of the important things will be, depending on the amount of people in the community, maybe we'll increase this diversity ratio, and but that will be put to a vote to the whole community. They can decide that 1% is too much, and maybe we'll go even a little bit down, or maybe we'll separate the governmental aspect from the financial aspect at some point, and yeah, so something like that. Those type of tests will also be interesting.